Proper shit driving by that car. Well, good morning folks, and I hope you're doing really well. Welcome back to another little video, and welcome to the real world, you might say, the cutthroat world of city cycle commuting. And I just thought I'd share a bit of my my route into work in Manchester, well actually south of Manchester. It's about 19 miles overall, should I choose to take the bike like I am doing today. So it's a Friday morning and I've got a busy weekend planned, no cycling, so good opportunity to get a bike ride in and just set up the weekend. We're just a couple of miles the other side of Royton here, and you might just be able to make out on the left there is a bit of a cycle path, but as is the case with very many in the UK, the surface is pretty crap. So I'm doing what, 17 miles an hour on the road. That would drop to 12 or 13 or below. Would have dropped on that little cycle path there. It's just petered out here, so you're back onto the pavement. So I think certainly over the years I'll sometimes get a little toot toot from cars, and very occasionally a bit of grief for not using the cycle path, but I don't think there's a great deal of understanding sometimes that cyclists aren't using the cycle paths because the surface is really poor, or there's a lot of debris on the path. It's a path that if you went on, you just get a puncture straight away pretty much. Little kickers on this ride. You know, I think I certainly take the view, and I'm sure many cyclists share this view, that if there was a decent cycle path, we'd all use it. Why wouldn't we? Sort of Middleton area here. Picking up a bit of a, well, is this a bike path or just some paint on the road? It was 1 degree when I set off this morning. It's probably rocketed up to 2 degrees. And I was hunting around the house looking for my lovely winter thermal sort of bib tights, and then realised, like I'm sure many of you do, that they're at the bottom of the dirty laundry pile from the last ride. So I'm actually wearing a pair of summer shorts, and let me tell you, it's pretty bracing. Got the leg warmers on though. Just an example here where I have opted to use the cycle lane provided, even though I don't know if this will come across, but the surface is pretty crap. But the road is pretty busy here. It's I don't know what the official speed limit is, but cars do really motor on this section. and I just think for the peace of mind on this little section, I'll use the amazing cycle infrastructure that's provided, which just crossing the M60 here. I'm not sure if I'll keep the camera rolling on this section, but it just peters out down here and it just spits you out on the roundabout with no obvious way to cross as a cyclist. Bit of wood, some metal, bus stop. You know, it's I was chatting to a mate the other day about this, and we were summarising that whoever was responsible for that little section of cycle path probably just did that little section, and nobody ever bothered to raise their hand and say, excuse me, but where does this link up? So what I tend to do here, if I can, is just somehow try and join the road again. But I think it's things like that that, you know, friends and people I've spoke to over the years would cite as reasons why they wouldn't, you know, cycle into work or cycle in urban environments. And I don't know, it seems to me like they have a reasonable point. Okay, just jumping on the A62 here, which is the main Manchester Oldham road. It's a busy road, but actually for cycling it's pretty good. As you can see, we've got a nice wide bus lanes. There's plenty of speed cameras around, so the cars are on slightly better behaviour than elsewhere in the city. And if you know the area, you'll know it's a slight trending downhill road as well, so you can feel like a proper cyclist doing like 22 mile an hour. The other quite cool thing I quite like is you start to get the cityscape opening up in front of you, and I don't know, it feels to me like so cool to be heading into such a big city on the bike. Bit of filtering, fun and games, and then another clear section here. And why, oh why, oh why would you do that? If you can go just as fast-ish under your own steam. Yeah, and the bike lane just stopped. There's no kind of rhyme or reason particularly. And I suppose you have to be a little bit confident with that kind of filtering to really make the most out of certainly riding in Manchester. I don't know what a lot of other cities are like. I don't have a lot of experience riding in other UK cities other than passing through them on cycle tours, but they're usually quite carefully planned to avoid busy routes, and you know, the commute setting is appropriate to find the little bridleways or towpaths or quiet cycleway routes into the centre. I must admit, I've not really planned this route particularly carefully because, as I've probably said a few times on videos, I I don't mind too much traffic. I'm obviously prefer to be on top of the Pennine Hill with no one around, but I suppose just having cycled in and around traffic for years and years, I wouldn't say I enjoy it, but it doesn't freak me out the way I think it does with some other cyclists. So welcome to the what you might call the city centre section. So as I've probably mentioned at the start of the video, I'm about 4 or 5 miles south of Manchester, Cheadle-Hulme, Didsbury area, and I've just sort of moved offices recently, which is what's opened up this opportunity to start cycle commuting again. Okay, just making our way down Portland Street here. We've passed Piccadilly Gardens, got Manchester Chinatown just on the right, and we'll be picking up just a few hundred yards down here, Oxford Road, and then heading off out of Manchester into the University District and into what I think is some quite unusual cycling infrastructure, certainly by Manchester UK standards. Standard of driving gets a little bit more questionable around here, I think, and obviously got to be pretty careful about hungover students stepping out in front of you. Well folks, welcome to Oxford Road, and pretty much the heart of the University District. Not massively busy at this time of day. I've not cycled on here other than just starting working in the new office for a good many years. Certainly before this new cycling infrastructure was put in place. It sort of works. I'm not a big fan of, actually there's no examples here, but there's lots of sort of little cutting points and lots of opportunities for hungover, sleepy, bleary-eyed students to step out in front of you. There's lots of speed bumps and these kind of slow down lines. I'd probably say by UK city standards, this here is quite good, but I have quite limited experience with cycling infrastructure, certainly in other countries and in other cities in the UK. So I'd be really interested if you live somewhere that's got comparable or better infrastructure. You know, what does that look like and whereabouts in the world is it? Now I've got my nice snazzy touring bike, as you might have seen on a couple of recent videos. I'm going to get into Europe this year, and one of the places I'd really love to go and have a look at is the Netherlands, and just experience the high bar and have a look at what the reported best cycling infrastructure in the world is actually like to ride on. I suspect it's a bit nicer than this. So this is the quite famous Curry Mile in Russia, and let me tell you, it's absolute torture cycling back through here in the evening. The smells are out of this world. It's not different food, but not too dissimilar than cycling around Hollingworth Lake at the end of a long ride when that fish and chip shop is in full swing. Well, he wasn't stopping, was he? I think that's the bit about this kind of cycling route that makes me just a bit wary. So every 20-30 yards there's an opportunity for somebody or something to get out in front of you. And it's almost, I think, as a motorist turning out onto this kind of road with a little cycle lane, they're probably focusing more on the road than also checking what's coming down the cycle lane. Just gets a bit weird here. I feel like this little section now through Rusholme is one of those classic examples where the powers that be have just kind of made it up as they go along. There's bits on the pavement, bits on the road. We're on a bit of cycle lane here, but there's actually a curb, and if you weren't paying attention you'd be off your bike there. Just peters out here. Terrible road surface. It's sort of, I don't know, want it to be so much better. Feels like it could be so much better. Is it ever going to happen though? I don't know. I've been asking that question for about 30 years. Okay, just making our way now across to Parswood and Didsbury direction. I think the last time I was around this way on a video was last summer doing the M60 circular route. What an adventure that was, off-road mostly. Somewhere on the channel if you haven't seen it. Shameless plug for other videos there. Sorry. Pretty quiet, but as you can see, lots of parked cars, so you've got to be careful with doors, people stepping out. We're in school run time, so excited kids just running out into the middle of the road. It does happen. And I could zip down here a lot faster than I'm going at the moment, but it's sensible riding time in these more built up areas. I've mainly been using the chest harness thing today, so I've not really been filming myself, but you know, the helmet's on, the bright fluorescent helmet. I've got 2 lights on the back, lights on the front, high-vis jacket, reflective strips, you know, the works kind of thing. Just playing my part, I suppose, as one of those cyclists lit up like a Christmas tree in and around the city centre. I've discussed elsewhere on other videos my thoughts on whether I think it makes a difference, but I just sort of regard it as the commuting uniform to throw on for these kinds of rides. I'm on my trusty Triban RC520, which I think is going up to 9 years old now, certainly 8 or 9 years old, and it's been through a few lives. Has the straight out of the shop road bike. It's been set up as a touring bike. Again, another shameless plug for a video on the channel. I think a year or 2 ago I transformed it into more of a gravel setup, and recently we've gone back to a commuting configuration. What that means is, well, actually had some quite recently replaced the wheels, so it's had some new wheels on quite recently. When I got them true, they're actually running like a dream, even though they're just bog standard decathlon wheels. But the 25C Schwalbes have come back out. The rack has been put on the back, and I'm carrying quite a lot of stuff, you know, laptop, charger, other bits and pieces, shoes, change of clothes, towel, toiletries. So I almost feel like I've gone on tour with less weight on the back of a bike than the standard Commute. But I tell you what, this bike is just absolutely incredible. Everything I've thrown at it over the years, some big tough tours and, you know, off-road bits and pieces, just never missed a beat, never let me down. I think when I bought it was 750 quid, and I gather these days it's in the 800s, but it is unbelievable value for money. It's in the market for an aluminium road bike that you know is going to last. Go get yourself one. Whew. Not sponsored by Decathlon. Well folks, it's the end of the day now, and I'll spare you the return leg. I'm just making my way back to Oxford Roadway and then in and through Manchester. I won't make it home in the daylight, but hopefully with the clock's changing at the end of the month, I think that won't be too far off. So I don't know, I'll leave in the slightly dodgy moments, hopefully, in the edit from this morning's commute. There's only one that I can remember, but I'll check the footage. And as to whether the UK, or at least the Manchester cycling infrastructure is any good and the roads are dicey or not, maybe you can be the judge of that. I think infrastructure wise I'd probably give it 3 out of 10. I don't know, am I being harsh? And in terms of being reasonably safe roads to cycle on, I don't know, I'm not, maybe not as pessimistic as some others. I'd maybe give that 6 or 7. He says, avoiding pedestrians stepping out into the road. But I don't know, let me know what you think. Do you think there's any enjoyment from urban city centre cycling. Are you a cycling commuter yourself? What does your route look like at the moment? Be really interested in any comments you'd like to share, and thanks so much for sticking this far in the video. If you made it this far, take care of yourselves. It's a slight hill here, sorry, out of breath, and happy cycling. I'll see you out on the roads. Normal service will resume very shortly. Bye for now. Whew.